Devolved government? Don't make me laugh. They couldn't run a Domino's club. Remember last winter? A few days of snow and the councils were out of grit. Then, when it melted, they couldn't even cope with the burst pipes. More and more it seems we're sinking in the third world rather than living in the United Kingdom. The politicians are all too quick to take us to the cleaners when it comes to collecting taxes, but it seems the more we pay in, the less we get back.
Whether it's translation services for asylum seekers or useless wind farms, we produce the money and they pour it down the drain. Let's face it, the politicians and their greedy banker friends have wrecked the place. They're all the same, they're all to blame, they're all in it for themselves. When did you ever hear of any of them giving anything back?
Well, we do, because all British National Party candidates in Assembly and Parliament pledged to give 10% tithe of their salaries to good causes in their constituencies.
Whilst the Assembly members and members of Parliament of the other political parties hoover up the cash, we practice what we preach with regard to fair play. We in the British National Party uphold the Christian tradition of charity. Maybe that's why the other political parties hate us and lie about us so much.
Of course, we know ours is purely a symbolic gesture, because we believe that our gesture of giving something back to the long-suffering taxpayer is important, because public service is an honour, not an opportunity to jump in a trough full of public money.
As a British National Party European Member of Parliament, I give 10% of my pre-tax salary and the surplus from my attendance allowance to good causes. Last year, I gave over £10,000 back to people in my constituency. I brought these canoes to get bored youngsters off street corners. I help animal welfare charities and local heritage groups. I help individuals too, including victims of the Salford gas explosion. Last month I helped a young family who'd had a terrible house fire. No one else was interested. The authorities fall over themselves to house foreigners, but it seems that our own people just don't count.
Nick Griffin also gave £500 to help give a little girl with terminal cancer a holiday in Disneyland. Of course we know this can't help her family's heartache, but at least it showed they weren't alone. We are helping to put the heart back into our communities.
In this election, your British National Party candidates all pledged to give back to the community 10% of their salaries for good causes.
Which good causes? Remember last winter? Remember the pensioners with broken hips because they slipped on ungritted pavements? Remember the car crashes because road salt was too expensive? We remember. That's why, as you're deciding to vote British National Party, you're deciding to vote for people who will buy tons of road salt out of their own salaries and take our trucks to grit roads and pavements near accident black spots, schools and high streets.
Have you ever heard of anyone from any of the old parties doing anything like that for the people like us out there in the real world?
And remember the pensioners and parents worried by the fact that councils are turning off streetlights because, despite taking ever higher taxes off us, they can't afford the electricity. This will get even worse this winter, which is why we promise you that our elected members will use part of their charity tithe to sponsor local streetlights. Of course, in the grand scheme of things, it'll only be a little, but it's a matter of principle, because every little helps.
So now you know. It's not just the common sense policies of the British National Party, supported by growing numbers of ordinary people like us, that are different to the tax-guzzling political correctness of the other parties.
We're different as individual people too. We, like you, detest the corruption, greed and short-sighted selfishness of the political class. We don't even think of ourselves as politicians. We're just ordinary, real people. People who care, people like you, with a heart.
For your free information pack, call us now on 0844 809 4581. Standard geographic charges apply. Calls from mobiles may be higher. Visit our website on www.bnp.org.uk. Isn't it time you stood up for our country?